I wanted to give you a little bit about the backstory of why this talk came into being. It's all Yulia's fault. No, she started it. She came to a show that we did prior, and actually Jill Schroeder, who's with us tonight, she was the guest moderator. And we were talking about the vigorous work that's done here in Austin, keeping talent here, and the collector culture, which is a little soft. It's getting a lot better. And Yulyia raised the question of, how do we overcome intimidation? How do we get kids to go into galleries and museums and feel comfortable and do it voluntarily? And Chris Tomlinson, who was one of our panelists that night, his comment was that we don't raise our kids in Texas to love and appreciate art. They have to be invited, or it has to be a curricular requirement. And I'm quoting this, and Yulyia said, I'm working on it. And my mind went, bing! That would make a really fantastic show. So, and I'm really glad to have you. Now this morning, also, me and Mikaela had an exchange that was really great because, again, my own ignorance, I don't know what STEM is. So I'm like, what's STEM? And she goes, it's science, technology, and engineering. And I'm also quoting you because essentially you and Chris are kind of lined up in different ways of what you're saying. There has been a binary track to education so far where things usually fall under STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, or humanities, reading, language, arts, social studies, and history. I have most of my experience in STEM-based learning with art integrated into it, which is a whole other thing to talk about. My mom was an activist in the 60s about, this needs to be there. She was showing me research papers about, they were taking capsule kids that had art in their curriculum with kids that did not, and the kids who had art in their curriculum characteristically outperformed in STEM. This was being done in the 60s and 70s. Anyway, but most places focus on the four core contents and leave art out, which is kind of what Chris was mentioning.